are going to study about human brain. Students, human brain. As in previous lecture, you are able to know how many parts in how many parts human brain can be classified or can be resonated. Now, today we are going to diagrammatic study about the human brain and what part of the brain perform what kind of function we will know ahead. First of all, human brain is of about 1.4 to 1.5 kg in weight. It is somewhat the chest walnut shaped structure, and it is primarily divided into three parts. The human brain is encloses into three membranes. The innermost pyometer, the second is arachnoid membrane, and the outermost is the dura mater. Students, let's see on the diagrammatic representation of human brain, how a human brain internally looks like. It encloses into the skull, and skull forms the outermost protective case of our brain. This is the skull region, under which our brain is encloses. Inside this cavity, that is called cranial cavity or cranium. Students, our brain outermost surface has many ridges and groups like structures. These ridges are called gyri, whereas the groups are called sulci. Yes, students, the groups are called sulci, as I was defined and labeled after completing this diagram. This is a part of, you can say that, longitudinal fissure that separates our midbrain and the forebrain. This is the region of thalamus, where the master gland pituitary lies. This is the brain stem of brain, and this longitudinal fissures that helps in dividing the first part of the brain, that is called cerebrum, is known as corpus callosum. This is also rhomboidal lobe-like structure whose transversal sections just appears the leaf like, but this is the very solid and massive structure of the brain, and the first part of our hindbrain, that is called cerebellum. This is the cerebellum. That is the part of our hindbrain, and here the mustards are, you can say that T-shaped, not mustard, T-shaped structure is present that hang over on infundibulum. This is called pituitary, the master gland of our body. Now students, I am going to label the diagram. This is the outermost protecting case or covering of our brain, that is called cranium. Cranium, or you can say skull, and its cavity is called cranial cavity, inside which our brain is encloses. This is the first part of our brain, that is called cerebrum. It is a part of our forebrain. Now this is the thalamus part, and here I first define the midbrain by differentiating this structure, that is called corpora quadrigemina, and the ether. This is the thalamus part, and this is the epithalamus. This is the hypothalamus. Hypothalamus part. This is pituitary gland. Pituitary, the master gland of our body. And students, this is the cerebellum, the part of hindbrain. Pons varolai, medulla oblongata, and this is the brain stem. Brain stem that opens, or you can say that connected with the spinal cord, brain stem. Now the recess, as you observe in the structure of brain, that are called the gyri, whereas the grooves, it means depression in the outer surface of the brain, that are mainly form of the gray matter. This is called the sulci or sulcus in plural, and this is the corpus callosum, that longitudinally differentiating the both half of the cerebral hemisphere. This is corpus callosum. Now students, this is the mid part of brain. It is very small, and you can say that it forms about the only 10 to 15% part of the total volume of brain. This is the midbrain. Midbrain has mainly two parts, and it contains four lobes that are called optic lobes, and the lobes are called corpora quadrigemina. Corpora quadrigemina. Whereas its the floor part is called iter, that opens into the first part of the hindbrains and helps in connecting the midbrain to hindbrain. This is the cerebellum, pons varolai, medulla oblongata. These are the part of hindbrain. It means rhombencephalon, hindbrain. Now students, the cerebrum, and these are the part of the thalamus, epithalamus, hypothalamus. These are the part of the diencephalon, the second part of our forebrain, and these collectively forms the forebrain of human. Forebrain of human. Structure of human brain. You can write here structure of human brain. Students, as I was telling you that the human brain is encloses by the three meninges. Meninges means layers. The innermost layer is pia mater, the middle layer is arachnoid membrane, and the outermost, this appears, the outermost membrane is the dura mater. Dura mater is the outermost membrane, and it appears grey color because it is consist of the number of neuroglial cells or nerve cells, and hence it appears grey color, and the matter is called grey matter. Whereas inside the human brain, a white color cerebrospinal fluid, is filled, that is called CSF, cerebrospinal fluid, that only contain the axon and dendrite or dendron part of the nerve cells. That's why the inner part of the brain appears white in color. Now students, let us go on. This is the cerebrum, the first part of our forebrain. It is somewhat the walnut like structure, as I mention you here with the help of our fingers. You can visualize such a structure on the outer hardest and rigid wall of the walnut, and it is the fissure that is called longitudinal fissure and corpus callosum, that helps in joining the both half of the hemispherical lobe of the cerebrum, because the cerebrum is primarily divided into two lobes, the right lobe and the left lobe. Students, the right lobe is the control center of the left half of the body parts, whereas the left hemispherical half lobe controls the all kinds of functions or body parts that is present in the right half. It means it performs the antagonistic control and coordination like functions. Yes students, mainly the left cerebral hemisphere of the human is dominant. That's why most of the functions they will perform with the help of their right half of the body, such as writing with the right hand, eating with the right hand, and like other activities they perform. Students, now This is the thalamus, just located below part of the cerebrum, and it is further defined by epithalamus, the region just located above the pituitary gland, and the pituitary gland lies in the thalamus region, where hypothalamus region by a stalk. This stalk is called infundibulum. With the help of this stalk, the pituitary gland is hanging in the forebrain of the part, and thalamus, epithalamus and hypothalamus collectively called diencephalon. This is the very most peculiar part of our forebrain, because that helps in control and coordination of various types of reflexes as well as voluntary and involuntary functions. If you are going to define the function of the diencephalon, it means thalamus, hypothalamus and epithalamus part. Then it controls the functions like pleasure, anger, jealousy, and you can say that also feeling of desires, sex, like emotions, and like many more functions performed by the diencephalon part of the forebrain, whereas cerebrum is the site of intelligence, learning, reasoning and remembering any kind of things. Now students, let us going on the midbrain. Midbrain has 4 lobes that are called corpora quadrigemina. These lobes helps in provide the ability of vision. That's why this is called the site of vision. Yes student, it is the site of vision and it is the control center of vision. Now we are going to define the hindbrain. Hindbrain is consist of following 3 parts: cerebellum, pons varoli and medulla oblongata. The cerebrum part controls the involuntary kind of reflexes actions such as rate of heartbeat, rate of respiration, digestion and many more functions that are helpful in the metabolic activity. Whereas pons varoli has an static functions to transfer the impulses in between our brain and the spinal cord. Now the medulla oblongata is most important part of our hindbrain, because it not only helpful in capturing the kind of sounds, but also helps in maintaining the body balance. That's why this is also called the body balancing region or control site of our brain. Thus students, this is the brain stem that continue into the spinal cord. Thus I hope you will understand the human brain and their parts and the function of each and every part of the human brain very well. Thanks students. And one thing at the end, students, you have a very important information, that is you have to complete your notes regularly, because they can be examined after the opening of school. Thanks students for joining today's lecture.